All right, today our lesson will be, students will be able to identify obtuse and acute angles on a protractor and how to find the unknown angle of two non-overlapping adjacent angles. Basically, all that is saying, you can tell whether an angle is obtuse or acute, and you can find the missing angle in a set of angles that are side by side. Let's go over some of our vocabulary and some pictures. We have the different angles. We have a straight angle, which is basically just a straight line, and it measures 180 degrees. A right angle makes a square corner, and it measures 90 degrees. An acute angle is a smaller angle. It's less than 90, so it's somewhere between 1 and 89 degrees, and these are the different ways that you might see an acute angle. And an obtuse angle is larger than 90 degrees. It measures anywhere from 91 degrees all the way to 179 degrees. We also were talking before about how to read a protractor and to measure an angle on an actual protractor. Remember that whichever way your angle is opening, if it's to the right or to the left, you're going to find the 0 point if it's on the top number line or the bottom number line. Well, with this angle, it's on the bottom number line. So here I'm going to be reading starting at 0, and I'm going all the way here to 55 degrees. I can also look at this angle and see that, well, it's not 90 degrees, so it is an acute angle. So if I chose 125 degrees, I know that that answer would not be reasonable, because just looking at this angle, I know that it's acute. So just be careful. You want to check if your answer is reasonable or if it makes sense. So when I'm looking at this one, well, I see that this is an acute angle, so I'm going to be reading on the bottom number line. So moving on, we want to first off tell whether the angle is acute or obtuse. Well, looking at this angle here, it looks like it's acute, and I say that because right here I see 90. This, if it was like this, then it would be a right angle. Well, this angle right here is smaller than that, so I know that it's going to be an acute angle. So now I'm going to find my 0 point. I'm going to be reading on the bottom number line, and if I start reading on the bottom number line, then I need to continue on reading on the bottom number line. So when I go through and look at this one, I know it's acute. This measures 55 degrees, and so that is reasonable. If I started on the top number line and I said, oh, this is 125, well, that's not an obtuse angle, so my answer choice is not reasonable. So the correct answer choice for this one is going to be 55 degrees, and it is an acute angle. Moving on. When I look at this one right here, we're just looking at the way that this angle is laying. I can tell that this angle is obtuse. It's a big angle. It's more than 90 degrees. So when I'm looking at 0 here, well, here's my 0, and I'm coming all the way over here. I'm reading on the bottom number line that this measures to 140 degrees. Well, I know that this is a reasonable guess because this is an obtuse angle, so I know that 140 sounds about right. If I were to read on the top number line and I stop right here at 40, well, that doesn't make sense because this angle is larger than a 90-degree angle. So first, make sure that your answer choice is reasonable and that you're reading on the correct number line. So the other part of our lesson today is finding the unknown of two different angles or different angles that are side by side. So when I look at this one, what is the measurement of the missing angle? What do I have here? Well, I have a straight angle here. And I know that this whole part is 180 degrees because I'm looking at a straight angle. So how can I figure out what this missing part is? Well, I can add up what I have. So this angle here is 90. This angle here is 30. And looking at this angle, well, I know it's going to have to be acute because it's not going to be a 90-degree angle. And I know that it's not going to be obtuse because it's still too small. So I'm going to add up what I have, 90 and 30. And that gives me 120 degrees. So now I need to subtract the 120 from the total of my angle, which is 180 minus 120. It's going to be 0. This is 60, and this is 0. All right, so now this is 60. Well, I need to check to make sure that 30 plus 60, that gives me 90, and 90 plus 90 is equal to 180. So I know that that is a reasonable answer. It makes sense because this should be an acute angle as well. When I go down here to my second one, angle 1 and angle 2 form a right angle. The measure of angle 1 is 67 degrees. What is the measure of angle 2? So it gave me a few things. Both of these angles, angle 1 and angle 2, combined form a right angle. Well, how much does a right angle measure? It measures 90 degrees. I see that this part right here, angle 1, is 67 degrees. I'm going to write it my 67 degrees. So whatever angle 2 is, it can't be more than 90 degrees because both of these together have to equal 90 degrees. So I'm just going to subtract what I know, 67 degrees, from 90 degrees. I'm going to subtract. Well, there's more on the bottom, so I need to regroup. This 9 becomes an 8. This 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. And 8 minus 6 is 2. So angle 2 is 23 degrees. Well, I want to make sure that I have a correct answer, so I'm just going to say 67 plus 23. If it equals to 90, then I know I am correct. And it does equal to 90 degrees, so I am good. Angle 2 is 23 degrees. Moving on. And this one right here, angle XYZ. So when I'm looking at this angle XYZ and angle XYW have a combined measure of 180 degrees. So this whole angle here is 180 degrees. The measure of angle XYZ is 28 degrees. Looking at this, well, this does look like an acute angle. And so looking at my other angle here, I know that this is probably going to be an obtuse angle because it looks like it's way more than 90 degrees. So whatever I get, it has to be more than 90. So I know that this whole measure is 180 degrees. This measure right, this angle here is 28 degrees. So I'm just going to subtract 180 from 28. And there's more on the bottom, so I need to regroup. This 8 becomes a 7. This 10, this 0 becomes a 10. Now I have 2, 5, and a 1. So this angle right here, 152 degrees, is an obtuse angle. It does measure more than 90 degrees. So to check my answer, to make sure that it's reasonable and to make sure that I did my subtraction correct, I'm just going to add my two angles. If it gives me 180, then I know I've done the correct work. That's 10. We put my 1. That's 7 plus 1 more is 8. And bring down my 180 degrees. If you have any questions, please let me know in a message. If you need to go back and read this again, please feel free. You do have a quiz to complete. All right.